Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and I'm an attorney that assists veterinary associates with employment contract and independent contractor agreement issues. Today I'm going to talk about veterinary student loan help options. So, what are some ways that a veterinary associate can get some of their student loan debt paid down? So really there's kind of, I'd say, three options. One, once you start with the employer, they would agree to pay a certain amount towards your existing student loan. Two, there are some federal programs that you can enter into after you have completed school or training, where they will pay a set amount of money towards your student loans per year. Or three, there are, I guess it's becoming more popular, is that some corporate veterinary practices are agreeing to pay the student loans of people who have come out of school and then gone into some kind of specialty training or residency, and then they, in return for a commitment of a certain number of years. So let's go through those three options. The first one, there will be some kind of dollar amount that the employer will agree to pay towards your student loans per year. It's not an enormous amount as far as I've seen. Maybe they'll agree to pay $1,000 a month, maybe $1,500, and they would just pay that directly to whoever held your loan. And that's pretty simple. You don't have to pay it back. It just automatically gets paid every month and can go towards, helping to pay down however much debt you have. Not an insane amount of money, but still, I guess any little bit helps. So that's the first way. The second would be some either federal or state programs. There's a USDA federal program where if a vet agrees to work in a underserved area, mostly with having to do with food animals, they can have tens of thousands of dollars either forgiven or paid off per year. I think one of the programs is a 3-year commitment. So for some vets, it makes sense. One, if you're in the area of food animals, and then two, if you're willing to essentially live in a smaller, underserved or rural community for a period of time, where some people are not willing to do that. There are some states that also have some programs for veterinarians in underserved areas. You'd have to look into those programs. I'm not going to go state by state, but that is also an option. And then third, this is relatively new over the last few years, but some corporate veterinary practices are, prior to a vet going into residency, or specialty training, the practice will agree to pay the veterinary school for the vet, in addition to any additional training, in return for usually a 4-year commitment. And then if the vet doesn't complete the 4-year commitment, they would have to pay back whatever was paid out by the corporate practice, either to the school or residency program or training. This isn't just for kind of general practice, small animal. This would be going into, ophthalmology, surgery, radiology, some of the subspecialties. It's pretty interesting. It is a legitimate commitment, and I guess the toughest thing, as far as, from an attorney's perspective, when I'm reviewing these, they've already agreed to these, kind of a student loan repayment program. And so let's just say the practice paid $200,000 for their school. Every year they'd forgive like a fourth of that if they made them stay for 4 years. So $50,000, $50,000, $50,000, $50,000. And as I said before, if the vet leaves early, then they would have to pay an amount back. The difficulty with this is they don't get an employment agreement, or many times don't even know where they're going to be placed with the company until after, or close to when they have finished their residency or training. but it puts you in a difficult negotiating position because you've already signed a kind of loan agreement that locks you in for 4 years, and then they give you the employment agreement. And from their perspective, they're going to think, well, what is this person going to do? Leave and have to pay us back $200,000? So you could be hurting yourself, at least leverage-wise, in terms of negotiating, compensation, non-compete, benefits, that type of thing. It's just when they have you already locked in, there's not a lot of reason for them to go back and forth with the vet simply because they're not very concerned about the vet just up and leaving. So that's one concern. So those are some options for student loan assistance. Not super prevalent in the veterinary industry, but there are some options if you do some digging. If you have any questions about your employment agreement or independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm at the information listed below in the description. And I appreciate you watching the video. All right, thanks. Take care.